On August 8, 1967. So the Philippines is one of the founding members. So napakahalaga po ng ating role dito sa ASEAN. So ASEAN, just to give you a brief background, kasi I think I will drum up kung paano nabuo ang Tingin Film Festival, ano. So ASEAN is actually an intergovernmental organization comprised of 10 countries, which aims to establish and strengthen cooperation in the economic, social, cultural, technical, education, and other fields, and in the promotion of regional peace and stability within the region. So, paano naman pumapasok ang NCCA dito? So, ang NCCA bilang the overall policy-making body, coordinating and grants-giving agency for the preservation of and promotion of arts and culture, mayroon po kaming programa na tinatawag na Culture and Diplomacy. So, ang culture and diplomacy na napapaloob po sa aming opisina, kami po ang nakikipag-coordinate sa ASEAN upang i-promote din ang iba't ibang kultura at sining ng ASEAN, hindi lamang dito sa Pilipinas, kundi sa member countries din. So, kagaya nito ay ang Tingin. Actually, film is actually one of the best language para ma-convey kung ano yung kultura natin. Kasi dito, makikita kung ano yung pagkakapare-pareho at pagkakaiba at the same time, which actually makes ASEAN a very diverse but cooperative region. So, to discuss, I think nakasama po namin si Sir Patrick and si Ms. Maya to discuss kung ano nga ba yung papaloobin ng Tingin Film Festival this year. So, I really do hope that everyone could actually enjoy this film festival, and I hope you could also invite everyone and your friends and family to experience ASEAN through film. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Mariel. So, to talk about the theme of our festival, as you can see, Enchantments for a Fragile World, we have our festival director, Ms. Maya Quirino, to talk about the theme of the festival.
Thank you, Petra. Good morning po sa lahat. Thank you for coming. And thank you especially to Shangri-La for hosting this press conference, and in particular, sermon. Thank you very much. So I'll just read to you the theme for this year, which is Enchantments for a Fragile World. Southeast Asia is home to some of the world's most spellbinding lore. In insular Southeast Asia, the quarrel between the earth and sky is a recurring theme in legends and myths, as is the transformation of people into animals. Dragons have the power to influence the elements in Javanese culture, while they bring rain and good fortune in Thai folklore. The Kinara, which is the festival motif this year, Kinari for female, transmitted by Buddhist monks from India to Southeast Asia, is a mythical bird with the head of a man or woman, which is common across Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, and Cambodia, as well as in India and Tibet. They are regarded as guardians of human beings in times of grave trouble. Simon Bronner defines folklore as manifestations of traditional knowledge, that is, cultural practices and expressions learned through word of mouth, imitation and demonstration, and custom. In the narrower sense of popular usage, it often refers to oral expressions such as legends, folktales, songs, and proverbs, while social and material traditions such as architecture, crafts, rituals, and festivals are associated with folk life. Myths, in particular, in ancient times, provided the most important available model of instruction, since no separate philosophical system of inquiry exists. In Southeast Asia folk literature, mythical creatures are used to convey moral lessons about the dangers of certain behaviors. Joseph Campbell believes that myths have four functions. The first is the mystical. It inspires awe in the universe. It's also cosmological, about the origins of the world. And it's sociological, about the transmission of norms. And finally, pedagogical, guidance through the stages of life. The realm of lore or mythos is about discourse or stories about the more difficult aspects of our humanity. It is opposed to logos, which is about science or reason that allows us to function in the everyday. The deadliest blow of technological modernity to humankind is our loss of astonishment. In the Anthropocene Capitalocene, we mistake our ability to build materials from nature our supremacy, thus charting our existential odyssey by the stars of productivism. We only succeed in atomizing ourselves. Filmmakers have time and again drawn from the rich wellspring of folklore to revisit old paradigms, to use it as a foil to new but harmful lifeways, or to serve as an anchor for a society battered by scientism. Some of Southeast Asia's auteurs have built their most important work around the enduring tales and expositions of indigenous cultures still given to mystery. While folklore has specific cultural ties and origins, it has traveled across space and holds promise in making sense of today's aggressively linked ethnoscapes, especially in Southeast Asia. Folklorists are right to point out that folklore continues to thrive despite early prognosis of obsolescence because of modernity. Themed enchantments for a fragile world, the 7th Tingin Southeast Asian Film Festival unlocks aphorisms of a time long past, but which ring true and therefore potent in today's fragmented world. Good morning.
Thank you, Ms. Maya. So that's the reason why we chose this theme for today, for this festival. And now to know the choices of films that we have, or we will present on August 17 and 18, we have our festival programmer, Dr. Patrick Campos, to tell us about the choices of films we have.
Ayan, ayan. Morning sa inyo lahat. Thank you sa Shangri-La at sa NCCA. Ganda nung thematic statement. Swak na swak yung choices. Yeah, so before I go over very quickly what the choices, film selections are for this year, I just like to say a little bit about what went into the kind of thought process that went into the programming. So I keep a perfectly balanced dialogue with NCCA. So parang I'm a hired programmer but have been with Tingin from year one. We have a perfectly balanced dialogue between NCCA's goals and my own work as programmer and scholar of Southeast Asian cinema. So as Mariel mentioned, NCCA is geared toward culture and diplomacy or cultural diplomacy, a noble goal of building bridges between cultures and film cultures. While my work has been interested in helping us imagine a world, so I think sarili kong interest, no? Both situated in locality, meaning such as our place in this world, our nation, and also transcending them in particular in not just abstract ways, such as by helping us imagine our places in the context of other places. As when we watch these films, we realize how alike we are or how different we are. And think of being citizens of a region rather than simply a nation. So when we think of what the people of Myanmar, for example, are going through, then we can think about what we're going through as well, and not maybe just commiserate, but act in solidarity. But particularity also dictates that we make comparisons and distinctions and still think in terms of differences while developing feelings of connection, if not comradeships. So, hin-highlight din yung pagkakaiba-iba, hindi lang yung pagkakatulad-tulad. Thematics such as what Maya discussed allow us to navigate between these two tasks of pointing out similarities and differences. This year's theme challenged me or us to ask what folklore means to us in the region and how it can help us understand the people of this region in this day and age as separate peoples and as peoples with horizontal and historical links. This means we see folklore in the selection of films this year as implicit and metaphorical in our gestures and stories. Sometimes the folklore is not as in your face and evident, but they are there. As structuring worldview, so sometimes they explain why maraming ganon, no? So maybe I'll just make a very quick example. When we say sci-fi, for example, when we use a Western worldview, think of sci-fi as machines and time traveling, but pwede ba isipin na ang sci-fi ay nakaangkla sa religious worldview such as Buddhism? If so, what will sci-fi look like? So sometimes pumapasok siya sa ganitong paraan, no? It structures the way we understand worldviews, and as guiding principles in how to live our lives, or how characters in the films live their lives or make decisions. So we see them at work in our dealing with the supernatural, nature, other people, ourselves, as both sources of horrors. So marami pong horror, hindi man marami, pero may ilang horror movies, and sources of hope, dahil marami ring pelikula na ang tinutukoy ay aspiration at pag-asa. So as a programmer, mahalaga din sa akin i-present ang complexity at breadth ng cinemas ng iba't ibang kultura sa forma at hubog. So aasahan niyo po na sa edition nito, gaya ng mga nakaraang edition, halo-halo ang form. So may fiction, may documentary, may hybrid, may experimental. May mahaba, may maikli. Iba't ibang preoccupation, disposition at lunan o setting. Halimbawa sa syudad, sa sakahan, sa rural na lugar. So hindi lang ang mga mainstream o kahit na art house films ang nasa programa. So may mainstream, may art house films, pero meron ding very diverse range, no? From almost love story to a Buddhist sci-fi. Siguro maganda rin to, kuya, na kaya ganun, the diversity is almost automatic because film cultures are very different. Some film cultures are small, some industries are very small, and some industries are very big, such as in Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, malaking sa atin. There's in places like Laos, Cambodia, Brunei, maliliit lang. So, almost naturally, magiging ganun din yung itsura ng programming. So like always, this year, we have a mix of established and emergent filmmakers. So if you've gone over the list, makikita nyo na maraming exciting names because they've won big awards already. But also, you will see a lot of new filmmakers. No? So they are from centers as well as peripheries of our respective cultures, filmmaking or otherwise. Some are returnees with bigger films. So 2 or 3 have already shown films in TINGIN, while most are first-timers. Some have won major awards and traveled in international film festivals, while others are very new and address their films to their own local publics. So very quickly, papasadahan ko lang po, no? Pero I'm sure you have some written material available to them. So ang returning natin na filmmaker, so very fortunate tayo kasi her first film that traveled abroad was shown in Tingin, Dear Sister, and she's returning with a really powerful film called The Long Walk, si Mati Do, from Laos. So ito yung sinasabi ko na excited ako because this is a sort of a sci-fi but sort of a religious and also sort of a historical film. It's hard to explain, no? It has received a lot of acclaim, and to date is her latest film, Matino's latest film from Laos. Also another emergent filmmaker who's received a lot of critical acclaim and awards internationally is Nelson Yeo. So last year, di ba, we showed Nelson's short film, and this year, we're showing his very important feature film called Dreaming and Dying. Another important emergent filmmaker in the region is Lin Tet Ong from Myanmar. So si Lin makes experimental films. So expect a relatively difficult work by Lin, which is a short film, which references both religious practices but also in veiled ways the political situation in Myanmar, if you're familiar with what's happening. So siguro maganda rin to ko yun na gaya sa Pilipinas at sa maraming lugar sa region kung saan merong issue na political, issue na pwede kang mawala o i-censor. Some are doing it very frontally and confrontationally, while others like Lin make it very symbolic and metaphoric. So mahalaga sa programming, sa trabaho ko mismo bilang scholar at programmer na ipakita na ang mga gumagawa ng pelikula sa Southeast Asia hindi lang galing sa center nila, so kunwari sa Pilipinas, hindi lang galing sa Maynila, di ba? So sa bawat isang Southeast Asian country, ganun din. May mga sentro like Jakarta, Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, pero marami rin gumagawa ng pelikula sa labas ng sentro, no? And in my own work, I've always endeavored to show these films in programs together with yung mga mas kilala, no? So in this case, of course, we have Kenneth Dagatan, who originally comes from Cebu, whose film was shown in Sundance pagkatapos nung kay Martica Escobar. So 2 in a row tayo, no? In My Mother's Skin, galing sa Cebu si Kenneth Dagatan. Tapos si Chong Kiat Aun ng Malaysia, Snow in Midsummer, ay filmmaker sa labas ng Kuala Lumpur, no? Because typically when we think of Malaysian cinema, we're thinking of Malay filmmaking, but Chong is a Chinese filmmaker, and so he represents a culture outside of what we usually think about when we think about Malaysia, and that's very important sa sarili kong trabaho, no? And also sa Thailand, si Urupong Raksasan, galing sa northern Thailand, so sa labas ng Bangkok. Most Thai movies that we know come from Bangkok. But si Urupong Raksasan, ang interest niya ay ipakita yung buhay sa labas ng syudad. So in particular, the life ways and the folklore of people who are farmers and who live outside urban realities. And then, so documentary yung forma nung kay Urupong Raksasan. Gayon din, isang hybrid na pelikula yung manggagaling sa Vietnam called Memoryland, ni Kim Kui Bui, tungkol naman sa kanyang reflection tungkol sa iba't ibang paraan natin i-imagine ang afterlife. Si Urupong Raksasan tungkol sa kung paanong iba't ibang practices ng religion in one nation such as Thailand. Did I miss anyone? Sa Indonesia, kagaya nung kay Lin sa Myanmar, highly experimental but more performative ang trabaho ni Natasha Tonte, na ang tawag ay Of Other Tomorrows Never Known. So she's a visual artist and performance artist, and you'll see this in the work. And I think yung Brunei, siguro isa sa pinaka-pride ng tingin ay we get to know Brunei cinema. You ask around, you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone who knows about Brunei cinema outside of Brunei. And from year one, we've been showing Brunei films consistently. So this year, we're showing Hazrul Aizan, Part of Me. At siguro yun din yung maganda maintindihan, Brunei is a really emergent film culture, hindi pa nga industry. So maliit lang talaga siya. And so kadalasan ay very pop. So it's quite a popular form, yung makikita natin from Brunei. And finally, the one maybe as a way to segue, the film from Cambodia, which is very new at umiikot pa sa mga festivals. Ang title ay Golden Dragon ni Boren Chin, na mapapanood din natin ngayon kasama nitong press conference na to. And siguro isang magandang example noong discussion ni Maya na folklore, na hindi hayag na folklore, pero alam natin underneath our reality, may folklore na bibigyan ng mga actions and decisions that we make. So yan po ang ating program this year. We can talk about it more sa akin. Salamat.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. So, for our opening film, The Long Walk, we have the director. She has a short video message for us talking about her film, The Long Walk.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Manny Doe, and this is Pickle the Cat. And we're saying hello from Lao. I am the director of the Lao film, The Long Walk. And I'm very excited to be with everyone on another edition of the TINGIN SAN Film Festival. I wish that I could be there with you so that I could answer questions about the film after you've seen it. But in any case, I hope that you all really enjoy it and that it gives you a lot to think about. Um, the Long Walk is kind of a mind-bending genre mashup. It's a science fiction horror film or like a science fiction supernatural thriller that really considers our place in the world when we've had grief or loss or regret. And it's kind of a film that I wanted to create after I had lost my mother and my dog. And also a film to kind of comment on the narratives that we're expected to have here in Southeast Asia. As an ASEAN filmmaker, I often see that there's like this kind of expectation that we can only make certain films, you know, films about really poor people suffering or women being, you know, being very lonely and unseen and oppressed in Southeast Asia. And this is just not the Southeast Asia that I necessarily see every day and want to put forward. And I think that as a Lao person and as a Southeast Asian person, we have so many rich stories and so many narratives that we can put forth. And we have stories that are strong, stories about us grappling with issues like death and loss and wanting to go back in time and change our actions or the consequences of our lives. And that is what this film is really about. And it's also about taking back the stories that belong to us. And it's about being able to portray the country any way that we want, or being able to portray our characters and our situations in a way that feels right or fun to us, rather than just making stories that meet a certain expectation. The film is a strange film, and the film does require a lot of patience, so I hope that you guys will enjoy and appreciate all the details and efforts I put into the film. I like to describe the film as being a huge puzzle with all the pieces there, like 1,000 pieces there for you to put together, but that I, the filmmaker, I don't necessarily help you put the pieces together. I don't lead you by the hand. I kind of give you a box full of puzzle pieces, throw it into the room, and expect you to find all the pieces and put them together yourself. But I promise you that by the end of the film, you'll have all the pieces to assemble the story, and I hope that the final picture is something that you all really love or enjoy, or that the final picture is something that's memorable and meaningful to you too. Thank you so much, and I wish I could be there with all of you. Have a great festival, and I can't wait to speak to all of you later in any form. Maybe we'll have a Q&A, that's up to the staff of the festival, or you can reach out to me online and ask questions about the film. Thank you so much. Enjoy the film.